We are so incredibly excited to do this. If you're new to the festival, you wouldn't know this, but ultimately we've been giving away one award a year since year 2. Achievement in Television Excellence was our first. We gave it to Henry Winkler because he is excellent. Thank you. And this last year we thought, I don't want to just give awards to give awards. A lot of people do that just to get people to the festival because people like to get awards. We know we're not an Emmy or an Oscar, but we want to do things that are meaningful. So this year we added a Social Impact Award, which we gave to Deborah Kahn from The Diplomat, and a Showrunner Award, which we gave to David E. Kelly. And then there was this. We were like, we're all Texan. We're a Texas-made festival. We're ATX Television Festival. It is run by 7 Texas women. Thank you. We are very passionate about production in Texas. We are asked all the time, how do we get things made in Texas? We don't know, but we try to connect them to people. I'll tell you more about that in a second. When we made this, at first we thought we were going to give it to a Texas creative. Somebody from Texas that makes great TV. That makes sense. That's what people do. As time went on, we thought, no, let's give it to something that is made in Texas, a production, people who make things in Texas. And Taylor Sheridan, as you well know, has really invested in our state. Thank you. But of all the shows he makes, there's one that is very Texas. I say Texas like 900 more times today. So Landman came up and it just made a ton of sense. They were gracious enough to accept. They were gracious enough to send us creatives and cast from the show. But then a few weeks ago, we knew a partner named Media for Texas that has really been championing the incentives program, which if you don't know, had a very big week this week. We are very excited. Yes, please. So we were very excited when they wanted to partner with us on the inaugural Texas Made Award being given to Landman. So with that, I would like to introduce Chase and Grant from Media for Texas to say why they partnered with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Caitlin. We are thrilled to be here, and we are honored to present the first ever inaugural Texas Made Award. As Caitlin mentioned, I'm Chase Musselwhite, and this is Grant Wood, and we are Media for Texas. This award could not be more pivotal. As Caitlin just mentioned, and as many of you know, and if you do not know, just last week, the Texas legislature, the House and the Senate, passed a $1.5 billion film incentive package for our great state. It's crazy, y'all. So we want to give our sincerest thanks to Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, Senator Joan Huffman, Representative Todd Hunter, and all the wonderful legislators who voted yes and prioritized film and media production this session, helping us usher in a new dawn for Texas film and TV production.
Yeah. And that momentum would not have been possible without a groundbreaking Texas story like Landman. Our biggest thanks go out to the creators, cast, and crew who shined a light on the rather distinctive people and places that make our state so great.
Also, thank you to ATX TV Fest and Caitlin for putting on wonderful programming and giving us the opportunity to really mark this historic moment. Because for us, many of y'all and many of Texans, Landman's not just a TV show. It's really a milestone. It really, truly embodies the power of Texas storytelling and the promise of what's to come for our state.
And we are excited to celebrate that promise by presenting the first ever Texas Made Award to the television series Landman.
So with that, we're going to have a conversation moderated by Andy Linger from Texas Monthly, but we would like to present the award to Landman with Michelle Randolph, Jacob. You guys can come. I was going to do them in order. I was going to call Michelle first. Billy Bob Thornton, Christian Wallace, and Jacob. You were going down there. Hi. I'm going to give this to you. Yes, you can give it to Billy and set it on the... So Andy, come on up. Get started. You guys can set it on the table when you're done. Thank you.
Thank you. So, well, let's start with this made in Texas business. You can't get, well, it's going to be where you can't get weed. We already can't get porn, but you can make movies in Texas. So that's good. This show would be completely different if it was shot in Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
I mean, talk to me about Texas as a character, as the driving character in Landman. Any of you?
Christian?
Well, I'm grew up in West Texas. I'm from a little town called Andrews outside of Midland, Odessa, where a huge part of this show is set. We've seen Dallas. We've seen the upstairs of the oil and gas industry. We've never seen the roughnecks, the roustabouts, the people that really make it all work, make it happen. And the Permian Basin in West Texas is the most prolific oil field in the world. And getting to tell a story about this place that is so important and yet so few people know anything about is just, it's an incredible opportunity. And you couldn't do it in Vancouver, no. Maybe Alberta, but they'd have way different accents.
Well, Andy, I have to say, sorry to horn in, but there's something you have to consider when you're doing any kind of movie project, which is not only the land, and because they'll use Toronto for San Diego, they do all kind of stuff. So the other thing that they never consider is the background actors. Like if you did it in Vancouver or say Santa Fe even, you wouldn't get an authentic look with the background actors, and that's very important. And they also know how, native Texans or local Texans, whatever, people have lived here in Fort Worth or Austin or El Paso, anywhere, they carry themselves as Texans. And so, Vancouver's a lovely city, but I'm just telling you that if you had the background in Vancouver, it would be obvious because they would all have their hats on backwards.
The thing that runs through the story of The Patch, to me, the story of The Patch is danger versus money. Is that fair, Christian?
Yeah, it's risk versus reward. And it's sometimes it's hard to square which one. Because, if y'all have seen the show, in the pilot episode, which is based on true events, 3 generations are killed in one accident on a rig. And that's the type of real danger that is out there. And we're bringing a lot of these real stories. The pipe incident in season 1, another real story. Billy Bob losing his fingers based off of my uncle's experience. And he really did say, I want a cigarette and a Dr. Pepper. So we're really bringing that aspect, but also what it can do for a family. If you can make 6 figures and have a high school education and provide for your family, send them to college, give them a better life, there's not a whole lot of blue collar opportunities in this country to still do that. And the Permian Basin, the Patch is one place where you can still achieve that.
Michelle, how much did you lean, any of you, on Christian for the authenticity piece? Before you hit the set, how much time did you spend talking about what would the real people do?
Yeah, well, when I first started working on Landman, I listened to the podcast that the show is based on, Boomtown, and I learned everything. I didn't know, I'm from California. I grew up at the beach. I had never really been to Texas. I don't think flying in and out of Houston counts. And then to have to take on this character that has been born and raised in Fort Worth. And I think leaning on Christian and our crew, and it was so important to really feel authentic. And I just think it translates into the show. And now I know way too much about Texas, and I own 5 pairs of cowboy boots. And I sometimes carry my accent home.
And you had the real technical stuff to deal with because you're right there in the Patch.
I leaned on Christian very much.
Yeah,
we had plenty of conversations, and I'm very glad he was there every day to explain what I was doing when I was completely lost in it. But me and Christian had talked before during casting, actually, and got really close on the fact that my dad had worked in the business, so we connected on a lot of that. So it was really just us having the understanding of the blue collar people, of the people who do this, who risk their lives to come out and do it and provide for their family. And it's been anonymous having him. I don't think I could have done it without him last year at all.
There also was a camp. You guys did
Yeah, we did a roughneck camp. So, in Yellowstone, they do cowboy camp. Well, instead of horses, we have pump jacks. And Jacob and our other guys that played the roughnecks in the show actually worked alongside real roughnecks on real drilling rigs. And I mean, we had Emilio running the rig at one point. There were so many things I kept looking over at Paramount Safety and being like, are they gonna let us do that? Are they gonna let him get up there? And sure enough, I mean, it was safe and we took it very seriously, but they really were doing the work right out there. And just one thing I have to say, we just did a 21-hour workday on Friday. A lot of people, Abby, one of our camera operators, is here, and started at like 7:30 in the morning, didn't get home until like 4 in the morning the next day. And we had a roustabout crew there to kind of fix the pump jack if it got messed up. And one of those roustabout guys came up to me and goes, I cannot believe how hard these crews work, these film crews. And that is something that I didn't know coming from a blue collar background in West Texas, being on there. They've been incredible introducing me to their world. But I see a lot of the same work ethic, a lot of the same skill level, a lot of the same commitment and dedication that our crew has, which is, by the way, over 50% Texan. And that's gonna keep growing. That roustabout came up to me and was like, I can't believe how hard they work. And I've seen it too. It really is just sweat, blood, and tears that go into making it. Every single frame of the show is shot in Texas, and I'm really freaking proud of that.
And I just have to say, we're so lucky to be on a show where we get to go, like you guys got to go to the Roughneck camp and learn, and I wasn't included in that, unfortunately. But I just think that it adds so much to the scenes and the characters, and that's why watching it, you just really feel like you're immersed into the story.
Billy Bob, we've talked before about how not necessarily you've changed your view of energy, but how this has informed the debate over oil and clean energy and whatnot. Where are you standing on that these days?
You know, Andy, I don't talk politics publicly. I think we need a party called the Common Sense Party. I really do. But, I mean, look, here's the thing. Only one time doing press for this show in the year and a half now, or season and a half that we've been doing, we were in New York, and this was only a couple of weeks ago. And when you look out at an audience, because I grew up playing music, so I can always see the guy who's the musician who hates us. He's always looking like that. Yeah. So I saw this one lady in the front row, and as we were doing the panel, I could tell she's the one who's going to ask that question. I knew it for sure. And so when they opened it up to the audience for questions, sure enough, and she said, how do you justify the morality of a show like this? I said, well, here's the thing. First of all, Taylor's written a show that doesn't have an agenda. It shows you what happens. And so this is just a peek at behind the curtain of an industry that a lot of people don't know anything about. And he's not saying yay oil or boo oil. He's saying, here's how it works. And in the world of the arts, when I was coming up anyway, which was back in the 1920s, people used to look at art based on its merit artistically, based on, is it good, is it mediocre, is it bad, you know? And my example I give is, look, if they make a movie about Jack the Ripper and somebody plays Jack the Ripper very well, better than anybody could possibly play Jack the Ripper. Nobody likes a serial killer, but you would go and you go, you know what? Gary Oldman's getting the Academy Award for Jack the Ripper. So I think that more and more people are looking at artistic ventures of any type, whether it's a novel or a record album or a movie, whatever. They look at it from the point of view of their own agenda, which is not the way you're supposed to judge art. And so we just went out. You have to go for it. I mean, when I did Bad Santa, I couldn't halfway do it. You know, it's like, I'm a drunken jewel thief, and that's what I'm going to be this whole period of time. And so we put everything into this to show you what this world is. At the end of January, it was the #1 streaming show, not just in the United States, in the world. And so it just shows you that sometimes people relate to something or they're interested in it enough to sort of drop whatever their feelings are. Let's say I hate dogs, which I don't. I love them. But I'm not going to say, well, I didn't like that movie. It's about dogs. Well, was it any good? Well, it was awesome, but I don't like dogs. You can't do that. Now, we're not saying, I mean, it says in the show, as soon as there's an alternative that makes sense, we'll be there. Right now, we kind of need the stuff. And, you know, so if you got a car or you wear lipstick or take pharmaceuticals, you might want to just, you know, not talk about that. But one way or the other, everybody gets it. Taylor gets it too. Yes, if we can clean up the environment, everybody wants to do that. I don't think anybody doesn't want to do that. But we have to, I mean, if oil men suddenly, you can back me up on this, Christian, if all of a sudden they discovered that water could run everything in the world, the oil guys would get in the water business right away because it's about an industry that makes money, you know. The water business may not be as dangerous, but one way or the other, that's the way we kind of approach this. It's a look behind the curtain of how this world works. And if you look at corporation or politics or anything else, you know, they're not saying, oh, look how cool politics are, you know. They're just going, this is what happened, you know, and that's kind of the way we look at it.
I imagine the hardest part, Christian, is finding a way to tell the story authentically, but to make room for all of the more traditional TV drama, the family stuff that we're going to talk about in a minute, and have those things live side by side.
2 words, Taylor Sheridan.
Right.
He's the master at that. He's so good. You know, I can feed him all the oilfield stuff in the world, and then he, you know, he knew that Tommy Norris was going to be Billy Bob Thornton when we first had our first conversation. So he was always writing to Billy, and I think that shows. And now, like, the family is the heart of this show, you know, and they're incredible at it. So,
did you guys, when you signed up, did you know it was Billy Bob Thornton?
That's all we knew and all we needed to know.
Okay. Does that come with a certain set of pressure?
Maybe before, but once you meet Billy, it all goes away because you know, and we became a family pretty quick. I think the first time we met at the Drover in Fort Worth, it took us like 5 minutes, and we're like, "Yeah, this is going to work perfectly. This is exactly what we."
I met him standing next to a dumpster smoking a cigarette.
So did I. This family dynamic, I mean, it's complicated. Well, on screen. How much, how difficult initially before everything's sort of fleshed out, because the family dynamic really changes across the season. Those early episodes, how comfortable and how much did you know what was going to change? Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Well, we had, thankfully, the first 10 episodes when we started filming.
Okay.
Initially, I was terrified because I think my character is a little wild child, and I was very nervous how that would come across and just fit into the family. And as soon as we got onto set, and as soon as I met Billy and Allie and Jacob, it was just our real life dynamics really show. You can see all of our weird nuances together in our real life play. And I think that it adds that when there's a natural chemistry, it just, you need that. And we worked hard. I mean, season 1, we all spent so much time together, and now it really feels like a real family.
Which of those relationships feels sort of the most authentic to you?
You
and your mother, you and
I genuinely, I couldn't choose. All of them. This is my dad.
Well, and they really do
I-
hate each other. Look how far apart they're sitting.
That's the one, actually, you know what? Jacob and I get along very well, and it's really hard on set when we have to just say some cruel things to each other.
Yeah, we really have to act on that one.
Yes. Yeah.
Is the family stuff or the pump jack stuff harder for you?
Physically or mentally? No, probably the pump jack. No, Cooper in the first season wasn't around the family as much, so it took a couple of scenes and a couple of days to, like, for me to get as comfortable with what we were all doing in the house, or, you know, because I was very comfortable with the pump jack. We spent a week training. So had to be comfortable coming in, though. It took a couple of days, and you just fall into it. Like Michelle said, we became a family pretty immediately and realized how well it works, you know, off of each other, just our personalities in general. So it was fun.
But also with the crew. I mean, they've become our family as well. I feel like every day we're on set and we're putting on this little play for like everyone. And it's so weird that the world's going to watch it, because it's just, you really do forget. It's our camera crew and our lighting guys and director. And it's so fun.
It's not uncommon, I guess, for roles to be built for you, but this one was written specifically for you. Does that change the way you approach things?
Well, Taylor and I have a different demeanor. You know, Taylor is strong and blustery and cowboy-like and all that kind of stuff. And I'm more like, I just rolled out of bed, and which is usually the case.
Smoking behind a dumpster.
Behind a dumpster.
Yeah.
And so I think Taylor did, when I first saw the script, the first script, I saw that he had written in my voice. And, but then he put some of himself into it too. It's like sometimes on the page you can tell they want you to be, like if you get mad, they want you to climb on the desk and, you know, spit in somebody's face. And I'm more the type who just looks at guys and says, look, I weigh 142 pounds, but I'll stab you right now. See, that's the kind of bad guy I play more. And so once Taylor actually said to me one day, he goes, you know what, I wrote this in your voice, and he goes, and then sometimes I forget who I hired. He goes, I know what you do, you go do it. And he was very generous about it. And so it makes it easy to go to work, because I don't have to, well, don't get me started, Andy, about, you know, casting of things in the world. But you have to put a lot of yourself into a character, no matter what it is. And I was always known for playing all these different weirdos, but you know, you always have to put yourself into it, and you have to know what you're talking about, you know, when you do it. And the great thing about having Christian on the set is that if there was something in the oil world that I love that song. When an actor is looking at another actor in a scene, you have to know what your dialogue means. You can't just memorize it and list off a bunch of words. You have to know what you're talking about. And so I was able to go to Christian, and every now and then there'd be a technical oil term that I wasn't sure what it was. And I'd just say, hey, dude, what does this mean? He goes, it means you busted your chin on that beam over there. Oh, okay, I get it. And you do that. And then Taylor was very aware that I came up as an improvisational kind of actor. So if I ever said anything that wasn't in the script, if he laughed, I was like, all right, that's in the show. And so it's actually been a very comfortable thing. And to go back to what Michelle said, people always say that. It's like, well, you do a movie together, you all become family and stuff. But in this case, and I've been doing it for, 79 years now. So I can honestly say that this bunch did become a family. And as she said about the crew, I've worked with a lot of crews. This is absolutely the best crew I've ever worked on. There's not a bad apple in the bunch. And they're awesome. And she's very shy, but Abby, raise your hand, will you? Hey, Abby. Abby, stand up, will you? So, this camera crew, you have to trust those people, and because they're right in your face all the time, especially the other day, right, Abby? So we have Eric and Abby and Dana, and they're just 3 cameras all the time, and they make us feel so comfortable. We joke around together, and honestly, the show is sometimes easier to do than you might think it would be because of this crew. Because all we got to go out there and do is what we're into, and we don't have to think about much. It feels like real life sometimes because of that. Because when we get into these scenes, and believe me, I mean, with a family like I've got, and see, Allie's not here, but with her and Michelle and Jacob, and then I'm having to run an oil company and be a landman. It's like, you kidding me? And like she said, in real life, art imitates life here to a degree. And, Jacob and I come from the same area of the country, very close to each other. And Michelle, I have a 20-year-old daughter and 2 sons who are 30 and 31. So that dynamic is like real life. If my daughter said the stuff that she says to me, I mean, I would have a seizure or jump off a building. So it's not hard to protect her. It's not hard for me to call him a knucklehead and say, you can't do this, dude. It's dangerous, and you're not going to make $1 million tomorrow, So, and then Allie, in real life, when we're going out to a restaurant, she pulls me around by the ear and says, no, we're not going to that dump. We're going over here, and you're going to have caviar. So it's a very sort of easy thing because we're all kind of like that in our lives.
You touched on this a minute ago in that answer, but you only take roles that you could see yourself being. That's your ethos. That's your thing. What part of this character is you?
If I were a landman, I'd be about like that. I think. Like I said, you got to put yourself into it. And you're right. I don't take things that I'm not right for. I've turned down many things. I was offered to play Vince Lombardi once, and I was like, what? And I was like, you need a wider, shorter Italian guy from the East Coast for that. Not a Texarkanan. And and there have been many things like that. So, it's a thing that you learn after a while. It's just an instinct. You look at it and you go, yeah, if I think I'm the best guy for it, I'll take it if I like it. And if I think I'm wrong, one time I got J.T. Walsh, God rest his soul, I got JT a part in a movie one time because the director met with me and I said, there's a guy sitting out in the lobby there who's way better for it than I am. And JT played the part and it was awesome. But you can't, I'm on a soapbox about a lot of stuff, as you know, Andy. And we have, these days, they cast a lot of people because they seem fancy. And, if you're doing a movie in Texas, we got plenty of Texans. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of Texans. And there are all kinds of people who are raised in a similar way near Texas, whatever it is. We got it made there. So we don't have to go to other countries to get people to play cowboys. And that happens. Or guys, whatever it is.
Which part of your character do you relate to the most?
Well, when you said we all kind of relate our characters, I was like, excuse me.
Not that part.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I was so different when I was 17 than Ainsley, but I've tried to take parts of her personality because she's just so authentically herself, and she's wild and she's confident, and I think that's so contagious, and she looks at life bright, and I wish I was as carefree as she is. So that's something I've taken from her. Like, I don't know what's similar.
Did you come to this with a little extra confidence because you'd already done a Taylor Sheridan production?
Yes, so Taylor called me and was like, there's this role. It's so different than 1923. Can you put it on tape? And within 12 hours of getting that call, I had to send him my tape. And I felt like it was my character to lose because yes, I had worked with Taylor, but this was so entirely different. And he's like, there's an accent and it's Texas and it's 17. And I was very intimidated, but I found out Billy was going to play my dad. And I think what's actually really cool is that Taylor uses a lot of the same crew members, which is why it does end up feeling like such a family. And like our hair and makeup teams, Tim Muir has been with me for the last 2 seasons on 1923, 2 seasons on Landman, and like that's who I see every single morning.
Tim Muir, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. He even cut my hair.
He cuts all our hair. And that's who I see every morning. It's the first face. And it's like to have that throughout 4 seasons, how is there not an added layer of confidence walking onto a set? And that's so rare. And I probably will never have that again in my career. So I'm lucky.
Going the other way, what were you most worried about coming into this?
Most worried that I would screw it all up. It's probably the first fear. I mean, the old stuff, learning that, and knowing how dangerous it was, and then once we were actually out there doing it, that was something to go like, this is happening. This is not fake. Other than that, it's so comfortable. It is. It really is. Like Billy said, I haven't done this near as long, but it's still the most open, fun set with the best crew and the best cast that I've had the pleasure of working with. So there's not much to be scared of because we all get through it together. Works out pretty good.
In acting, there's a natural sort of arc/goal to find the thing that becomes the defining thing that you worked on. Christian, you were working right above us in this building at Texas Monthly, and this is not the kind of thing that you expect to happen when you're a fact checker and then a writer at Texas Monthly who gets a podcast, and there's a million podcasts, as we know. How crazy is all this for you?
It weirdly feels kind of normal now being around them all the time. Like, well, there's Billy, he just rolled out of bed again. But no, it's incredible in many, many ways. We had our LA premiere for season 1 last year, and we got to the Paramount lot, and I had taken a tour earlier that day because I had never been to LA before. And co-created the show. And so anyway, it's my first time in LA. I went and did the tour, which I found out later was very touristy. But I was like, Cheers and Indiana Jones and all these incredible movies were made here. And we got to the premiere later that night, and there were pump jacks and oil drums, and we watched this thing, and I was like, this is a part of Paramount history now. This is a part of TV history. And it came from such an authentic place. I did not want to do a podcast. There's enough white guys with podcasts. I didn't want to be another one. But basically, I'm glad, obviously. Got to tell a really personal story about West Texas, and to see it kind of like morph and transcend, and then to look around whenever we're working and see 150 plus people all with a job, all working on this project together. That is the coolest part of it for me, is to see how many people it's brought together. Yeah, this is cool and all that, but being on set with everybody every day, that is what really, really gets me.
But you've got real skin in the game in that you need this to work, but you also want to be able to look your friends and family in the face and have them know that you did your best to tell their story. So talk to me about that pressure.
Well, you got to start to learn, like I came from being a fact checker at Texas Monthly, and you got to make sure if somebody says that they're wearing a blue shirt, do you have a picture of that blue shirt? Can anyone else verify they had a blue shirt? I mean, it's very serious about the facts, as it should be. It's journalism. This ain't journalism at all. It's based on a lot of reality, a lot of truths. But, we're making an entertaining program first and foremost, things that people want to watch. And so I've had to temper, exactly when and where I push and the hills that I will die on. But I'm really proud of what we made. And I'm always going to get my roughneck uncle, telling me that valve wasn't on the right way. And I'm like, well, you know what, Skeet? That's all right. But for the most part, the thing is, those people are just so proud that we're telling a story about their lives, about the place that they're from, giving the rest of the world, literally the world, like people in Singapore and Ireland, South Africa are watching this show about West Texas and Fort Worth. I mean, they're just proud that we're showing up. And now that people know what we're doing, now that we're back for season 2, last year I would make calls to like some oil field companies and stuff and be like, hey, we're doing this thing. And they're like, I don't know, you're from Hollywood. And I'm like, no, you don't get it. We're doing, like, these are Texans making a show about Texas. And now it's like, they're calling me up. Hey man, can we get in that show? I mean, we're like, we'll send you some hats and some, like, they're lining up now. And so it's cool now that people get what we're doing. And hopefully we won't get run off as much. We're actually about to go out there tomorrow and start filming for the next week. We'll be in Midland, Odessa, and Big Spring, and Tarzan, and Post, Snyder. Huge metropolises, as y'all can probably tell. So anyway, I'm excited to be out there and shooting out there, and hopefully, we won't have as much people. We had a few people that weren't. What are you doing filming that pump jack? I'm like, well, we're on a public road, man. So anyway, it's cool to see how people have really, really latched onto the show out there.
Last season, you had the opportunity on one of these trips to the basin to go and talk to the football team, similar to the Friday Night Lights situation. Talk to them about that for a moment, because.
Well, yeah. So last year we went out to Midland, Odessa area, and by the way, Odessa has a really cool hotel now.
He's not joking.
I'm not joking. Yeah. Because when I was there, so Friday Night Lights was 20 years ago. We were there shooting around the 20-year anniversary of it. And so I spent a lot of time on the field. And when we got there, I walked out and saw the field, and I actually got a chill because doing Friday Night Lights there and playing Gary Gaines, which is a huge weight on your shoulders to play real people. And when I played Davy Crockett, nobody knows what he was like. So, but anyway, but people knew Gary Gaines, and he was still alive. And so we got out there, we shot a couple of days there, and it was really chilling. But what was interesting was that I had, say, a 25-year-old girl, 32-year-old guy coming up to me who are background actors and said, my dad was an extra on Friday Night Lights. And it happened all day long. And it was really cool. The most, I felt really honored to be there again. And it's just like people, other places, when they would see Friday Night Lights, they would say, that's a college stadium they dressed up. It's like, no, that's the high school stadium. And you don't know Texas football. And just like with Allie's character and you in the beginning last year, they would say things like, oh, wow, they're really flamboyant out there. Have you ever been to Dallas? You can throw a rock in any direction and you'll hit like an alley, But one way or the other. And we love them. But yeah, the Midland, Odessa area was very proud to have us out there because, that's where it takes place and that's where all it goes down. We shoot mainly around Fort Worth, but Denton, But one way or the other, it was a really great moment, other than when my daughter said some things to me on the football field, that all I could respond with was, I need a Dr. Pepper. So that was, and it was freezing that night. Remember that?
So cold. Also, we were filming and it's not like a giant stadium. And so there's all the extras and everyone watching and got thrown onto the set, whatever. And I'm thinking, no one knows the context of the show because they don't know the characters, they don't know the script, and all they can hear me saying is this one line. Like, what do they think we're filming right now? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was pretty shocking, even though I knew what you were going to say. But once again, going back to my own daughter. But yeah, Midland, Odessa is a special area. I mean, you know, it's a wonderful place to be because of the people out there, you know. And like I said, don't stay away from Odessa just because you think they don't have a good hotel. They do now. When we were doing Friday Night Lights, I was in some haunted little weird place that I was built so funny that I don't even know how to describe it to you. You know, the room it was like long and the TV was way over there. And it was dark. Couldn't get any lights on. I don't remember what it was called. I mean, you know, like Sam's Motel or something. But it's coming up, and we hope to make people aware of Texas and what it really is, and how good the people are down here. One way or the other, it's just nice to be able to show Texas and show different types of people in Texas. And Austin is like one of the most, you know, diverse places you'll ever run into. I mean, it's a great town, Austin, and you know, it's a creative town, and so you can just show, you know, Odessa, Midland, Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, El Paso, San Antonio. Each one's got a personality, you know, and I just think Texas is a great place, and we want to keep filming here. And I do not want to go to Pittsburgh in the winter, which I'm being asked to do.
I mean, they both have the area in their background. You're the one from California who had to figure this out in 6 months in Fort Worth. What are your impressions so far?
Well, I remember when I first because I had all these ideas and I read the script and I'm thinking, okay, this character, Texas, and I get to my first wardrobe fitting and I was like, this is what I have to wear. Like it's just it's different fashion in Texas. And now I love it. It's bigger hair. The clothes it's not, I'm like stereotyping right now, but like at least the area that my character is from, that's what they wear. And so it was like, I remember calling Taylor and he was like, what do you think of your fitting? Like, what do you think of the clothes? And I was like, I just feel like, is that accurate? Like, is that really? And then I went to Target, not kidding you, the next day. And there's a group of 4 girls walking around looking like 4 Ainsleys. And I was like, okay, so I just need to spend more time here. And it was great because I got to come out like a month before we started shooting. And I think just like going to the stockyards in Fort Worth and going to Taylor's Ranch in Weatherford, like I had to really immerse myself into this place. And that's why we're so lucky to be shooting here and not in Vancouver, which I feel like we've been mean about Vancouver. And now Pittsburgh. But I'm just like, there's no way the story would be the same if we weren't shooting here. And now, like I said, I have so many cowboy boots and I'm kind of an honorary Texan.
Speaking of clothes, the opening scene of season 1, you get a bag over your head. Yeah. Talk to me about that scene, because it really establishes, even though we can't see you, it establishes who that character is and who we're about to follow.
Well, first of all, the scene reminded me of my childhood. But you know, it's amazing when you get in these scenes like this because you really forget about everything except the scene. And there was an even worse one later on, once again with a bag on my head. I wonder what they're trying to tell me. But anyway, so I thought at first, because I had a lot of dialogue under that bag, and so anyway, it turns out it was easier. I mean, I'm kind of like, I'm a complete moron in most aspects of life. And there are a few things that I've always had a knack for. One is learning dialogue because I'm severely dyslexic. So I see things in chunks. And under a bag, it's like it's even easier for me because you're alone in there. And so all you have in your head is what's going on in this scene. And so, and also you can't see what the other people are up to. You have no idea what's going to happen, you know? And is this guy going to get too close and hit me in the head with this pistol? Sure enough, once. And, but it was, it felt very realistic. I'll put it that way. Both of those sort of cartel scenes where I was in a predicament felt very, very realistic. And sometimes I think it was Jack Nicholson or some minor character actor like that who said, I think it was him, but I'm not positive, who said, you put the clothes on and you kind of become the character. You know, in a lot of ways that's true. And your question earlier, Andy, about Texas being a character in it, the conditions, the weather, the wardrobe, the people you're talking to, just everything about a day really informs your character. And and once you get comfortable enough in that character and you start mistakenly calling Michelle Ainsley in real life, then you know you're home free. And so those kind of scenes, though, are really, really, you feel the heaviness of it when you're doing it. I don't know what else to say other than it's awesome doing this show down here. It really is. We love it. That's all.
You had a feeling before anything aired that this was going to be a hit, that people were going to connect to this.
Yes.
And again, you don't have that feeling with everything you do.
No.
So what do you think sparked that? I mean, is it the writing? Is it the family? Is it?
Well, you know, Taylor has a track record, first of all.
There's that.
And I think, you know, the success of his shows, so you know there's an audience already for it. But we thought that audience was going to be kind of like the middle of the country. We thought it was going to be a show that would go over down here and in Kansas and Arkansas and Mississippi and, you know, wherever. We thought the coast would not like it. And we certainly didn't think anybody in another country would like it. So we knew it was going to be a success. I think we all did. But we thought we didn't know it was going to be the success it has become. We didn't know it was going to become like, I mean, there's scenes from it that are already iconic, you know, while we're still doing it. And so the pressure then is, well, look how successful season 1 was. Now we got to do it again. And so that as an actor, I think you guys will agree with this, is that you have to keep yourself from trying to do what you did last year. You got to just do what's there. You know, just keep talking to each other, keep cutting your finger off, you know, as opposed to saying, well, last year I did it this way. And then all of a sudden you're thinking and you try too hard, and that's an inauthentic performance. And I think so far we've done pretty well at that. Wouldn't you say, guys? I mean, it seems like, yeah.
Offset, how much have your lives changed, the two of you, because of this?
Immensely. I don't even know. Yeah, 180 degrees.
Try to go into a Bass Pro Shop with this guy.
It's not as fun as it used to be now. Love it now.
I mean, is that something you've had to wrap your head around? I mean, because that,
Oh, for sure.
Again, it's the goal. You want to be in something that people see, but what comes with that, especially in the age of the selfie and the, you know, and everyone feels like because these people are in our homes and streaming, TV's even worse because we feel like we know you. And
Yeah, I had no idea what it was going to be like. This year, before we started shooting, I flew to New York and flew out of Dallas, and it took me like 3 hours to get through security, to the point that they're like, you're causing a problem, because people just kept coming up, and it's insane, the attention and the love, because there's never been a bad word. Everyone that comes up absolutely loves it. Now, in one sense, it's like someone's going to have to criticize me at some point because my head's getting a little big, you know? I can't be doing great all the time. But no, it's immensely changed.
Well, what's really funny. So Jacob, Michelle, Jacob, and Allie. Allie's been around. People know her, and then I've been around so damn long that it's ridiculous. And but I don't go to makeup. They just like dust off the dandruff, But anyway, one way or the other, when I used to know Andy Griffith and Don Knotts, okay? And they were really good to me when I was a youngster coming up in this business. And I would have lunch with those guys sometimes. And people would go by. It was Andy and Barney sitting together in Beverly Hills. It was like the weirdest thing. And it always struck me too. I would be sitting there thinking, because Andy Griffith was like everything to us when we were kids. So when any of us go out, I always tell people I've been Jerry Lee Lewis for years, and now it's Elvis Presley. So it's weird. So I didn't think after being around that long that it would go up any more, but because of Landman, it actually has. But the funny thing is when we all go out together, it's like the Andy and Barney thing. If it's me, Allie, Michelle, and Jacob going out to dinner, and people look up and they go, "What?" It's like the whole family's there, and I don't know. It's just weird. It would be like if John Ritter and Suzanne Summers and all them, like Three's Company, just showed up to lunch somewhere, And so that's the weirdest feeling, I think, for us. When we all walk in together, it's just bizarre.
Him and I have discussed this a bunch of times, but he is so grateful that people care that he spends a lot of time with them behind dumpsters smoking cigarettes. He's different than most people of the Billy Bob Thornton level. Have you learned from that? The off-screen stuff, the how to handle fans.
Oh, I think Billy's just such a genuine person. And that's so, I think that's why people are such fans of you, because it shows in his work, but then also just like as a person, easy to talk to, like you never disappoint a fan. And that is something I've definitely learned from, because I think not everyone is so grateful that people are watching their show. There's no ego. There's no ego on our set at all. So he has set the tone.
Christian, how much of season 2 going in did you know I'd like Taylor to hit this, and this, or we touched and grazed on this in season 1, and it's the thing we need to make? Talk to me about that process.
Well, I have a rolling list of stuff that, I kind of think of myself as a professional spaghetti thrower. I just throw spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks on Taylor's wall. So yeah, I have things that I would love for us to touch on, some of which we do in this season. And the thing about oil and gas, the thing about West Texas, there's so much. It's just a matter of fitting it into the narrative that we're trying to tell when it makes sense. There's a lot of material, so just whittling it down and trying to hit aspects of the culture out there, aspects of the industry that we haven't seen, different, dangers. There's so many different parts to kind of play with. It's just arranging that chessboard however Taylor really wants to do it.
Is the balance basically the same, though, between the oil story and the family and personality stories?
I'd say it's pretty comparable. Yeah, I think we've struck a good balance, and it's kind of just keeping that the family, the moments of just outrageously comedic moments with the very interpersonal drama and the kind of like inside baseball, oil and gas industry stuff and the lingo. Like all of that is what makes this show. Like it's so dynamic to go from the football field with y'all two to, Jacob and Paulina, who plays Ariana incredibly. Those moments are just like they live side by side in the show, and then we're out on a pump jack or out on a drilling rig, like that. It's just kind of all over the place, and getting to play with so many heightened emotions and action sequences I don't think there's many shows that really get to have that much range.
I got the wrap-up note a moment ago. I probably ought to ask the crew, but is there a blooper reel somewhere?
I hope not. No.
I mean, how often do you guys break on set? I mean, is there...
Oh, he makes me break all the time. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We did a scene Thursday that the whole day was a blooper. And I was the butt of the joke. And it worked out really nice. But yeah, we do have some pretty funny things happen sometimes. But we just choose to keep the memories and not the photos. Should we?
Do you want to? Yeah,
I think we should.
They gave me the wrap-up thing, but also they told me there's nothing in here after this. So screw it. Let's do it.
So we should ask the audience questions.
Yeah. Looks like there's microphones there, and I just ask that you sort of keep it to this and don't tell me about your AI company.
Christian, I was curious, how did you go from doing a podcast to doing the show? And was doing film and TV already on your radar, something you were shooting for?
Yeah, I had written a cover story a few years ago for Texas Monthly that generated quite a bit of Hollywood interest. And then a couple other stories I wrote were optioned. And that kind of got the gears rolling. Like, I'd like to, work on some of these adaptations myself. And Taylor and I had kind of been circling a couple of projects for a couple of years. And when Boomtown came out, him and his producing partner, David Glasser at 101, were the first ones through the door. Texas Monthly moved forward with this project. And we spent 2 years, Taylor and I, talking about the ideas, the characters, the place. And at one point, he just asked me if I would write a spec script. And I went off and did that and got a call a few days later telling me I was going to be the co-creator of the show and a producer on the show. And here we are 3 years later. So yeah, it was kind of a whirlwind, but I had wanted to move in this direction for a while.
So being a Texan, I'm going to ask, this is to all of you, but Michelle, I'm just going to say I love you and Allie and the characters you portray, because we don't hide our crazy in Texas and we love our big hair in Dallas. But what I love is that the show is written with family in mind, and Texans hold that value so true. Getting our family, no matter what crazy sports, whatever you have going on, around the table at the end of the day is so important. So I love in the show that she's, Allie's cooking dinner and making meals, and y'all don't always eat it or enjoy it, but that's important to her, and that's such a Texan mom to do that. Where do you guys get the inspiration for that part of the family dynamic? Do you all have input, or is that coming from you, Christian, or Taylor?
I mean, I think Taylor, that's very much in Taylor's wheelhouse, that family aspect. I mean, he's a family man. Everybody here, we're all close, I think, with our own families. And so it just kind of makes sense. And Taylor really does lean into that. And I think once he also saw how this cast that chemistry, I think it was a choice to lean further into it.
Well, it's great. I love it. So keep doing it.
And I love your hair.
The higher the hair, the closer to God.
I just wanted to ask if Christian and Billy, you want to smoke a cigarette after this?
As soon as I find the spot, I'll be there. Yes.
Jacob, I've been a massive fan since Mud. I've seen Go North and 12 Mighty Orphans and everything that everybody else probably doesn't even know what the heck that is. But love your work. And kind of growing up in front of the camera, how is this show different from all the other things you've done? I mean, you were like in Scorched Trials, which is probably a massive thing. But
had a great time on that. The difference is what we keep saying. We sound like a broken record, but the connection with these people and this crew is far to none. Never had this with something else. I mean, it's really special. So that's the reason this is my favorite job I've ever had at this point.
Thank you so much.
One thing I do want to say before we do wrap this up is really a huge round of applause, I think, for Media for Texas for everything that they've done to make sure that we get to keep making this show here. And not just our show, though. There's going to be more and more production. The crews we're going to have a better infrastructure for all of this. And that is so exciting. So if you are in film and TV in Texas right now, there's literally never been a better time. And it's because of people's efforts like that. And thank y'all for being here on a Sunday morning, basically. Thank y'all for showing up and watching the show so we get to keep doing this thing.
Thank you.
Christian Wallace, Jacob Lofland, Michelle Randolph, Billy Bob Thornton.
Thank you guys very much.